What if I told you that most Christian entrepreneurs are building their businesses upside down and don't even realize it? They pray for wealth but ignore wisdom. They work 14-hour days but have no systems. They call it faith, but they're building under pressure, not purpose. That's why many are exhausted, burned out, and confused, stuck between ambition and divine calling. But Solomon wasn't just a king. He was the blueprint. Solomon built a kingdom that was both wealthy and holy, strategic and sacred. And no, he didn't do it by following hustle culture or reading self-help blogs. He followed divine principles that are still available to you today. That's right. God doesn't want you to copy the world's way of doing business. He wants you to build something the world has never seen, a Christian business that reflects heaven's order, not just earth's hustle. This isn't a prosperity gimmick or a motivational pep talk. This is a spiritual strategy for those who are tired of the grind and hungry for something eternal. And it starts with 3 biblical laws that Solomon lived by. Laws that will reposition how you lead, how you grow, and how you make money with peace. Because yes, God can bless your business, but He'll only bless what's in alignment with His Word. So before you launch another product or burn out on another pivot, pause. What if your breakthrough isn't in doing more, but in building differently? What if the very thing you've been praying for is waiting on you to apply what Solomon already proved? Stick with me, because once you see these 3 principles, you'll never build the same way again. The first biblical law of success is wisdom before wealth, the non-negotiable priority. When God gave Solomon the opportunity to ask for anything, he didn't choose riches, power, or fame. He asked for wisdom. That decision wasn't just noble, it was strategic. Solomon understood that wisdom is the master key that unlocks every other form of success. In today's world of Christian business, where people are obsessed with how to make money fast, it's easy to forget this foundation. Yet without wisdom, wealth becomes a trap rather than a blessing. Wisdom isn't just about knowledge, it's about divine perspective. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding." Solomon wasn't anti-wealth. In fact, he became one of the richest men in history. But he knew that wealth without wisdom is a setup for downfall. Just look around. How many entrepreneurs build empires only to lose it all because they lacked sound judgment, emotional discipline, or spiritual grounding? In a godly business, decisions aren't based solely on market trends or customer demands. They're filtered through prayer, discernment, and godly counsel. That's why the first investment every Christian entrepreneur should make is not in real estate, stocks, or crypto, but in wisdom. That might mean studying scripture with fresh eyes, reading books like Business by the Book by Larry Burkett, or even finding a seasoned mentor who operates with kingdom values. Let me be practical. Before launching your next product, ask God for insight. Before signing a contract, ask for discernment. Before hiring someone, pray for wisdom in selecting a steward, not just a worker. This is how Solomon operated. He asked the Lord for a discerning heart, 1 Kings 3:9, and because he did, God added wealth, honor, and peace to his life. That's not a coincidence. That's covenant alignment. Wisdom also protects you from false urgency. Many Christian entrepreneurs rush into decisions out of fear. Fear of missing out, fear of competition, fear of scarcity. But wisdom silences fear. It gives you clarity to wait when others rush, to move when others hesitate, and to invest when others retreat. Solomon didn't react. He reigned. That's what wisdom allows you to do in the marketplace. Reign instead of react. And wisdom multiplies. When you operate with wisdom, your business becomes sustainable. You learn how to read not just spreadsheets, but people. You discern seasons, when to scale, when to pause, when to pivot. That kind of leadership creates trust and stability. 2 things that are rare in today's business world, but essential for long-term impact. Solomon governed a nation this way, and you can steward your business with the same excellence. Here's another layer. Wisdom attracts provision. People are drawn to godly businesses that operate with integrity, prudence, and peace. Your clients, partners, and even investors feel the difference when your decisions are not just clever, but divinely inspired. Solomon didn't chase kings. They came to him from all nations seeking his counsel. That's what happens when wisdom becomes your brand. And don't forget, wisdom is not just for crisis moments, it's for daily rhythm. It shapes how you lead meetings, how you market your services, how you manage your finances. It guides you in choosing which opportunities are distractions and which ones are divine appointments. The book of James says, "If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who who gives generously to all without finding fault. James 1:5. You don't need credentials, just a humble heart and an open spirit. If you're serious about building a business that heaven can bless, wisdom cannot be optional. It must be the operating system of your leadership. It's what separates kingdom entrepreneurs from secular hustlers. Wisdom makes your business holy ground, because every decision is an altar. Every contract is a covenant. Every employee is a disciple in training. And here's the beautiful part. When you truly pursue wisdom, wealth doesn't just come, it stays. Because now you know how to steward it. You don't idolize money. You use it as a tool. You don't chase success, you attract it by becoming a wise builder. Like Solomon, you don't just build businesses, you build legacies. The second biblical law of success is build with purpose, not pressure. Most businesses today are born out of pressure, financial stress, job dissatisfaction, or the desperate desire to escape the rat race. But Solomon's most famous project, the temple, wasn't built under pressure, it was birthed in purpose. He wasn't just constructing a building. He was honoring God with his hands, his resources, and his strategy. That's the difference between a hustle and a godly business. One reacts to problems, the other responds to purpose. Christian entrepreneurs often feel the urgency to succeed fast. They jump into industries they barely understand or copy what someone else is doing just because it seems to work. But what Solomon teaches us is that divine success is tied to divine instruction. The temple wasn't a business idea. It was a divine assignment. When you start with calling, not convenience, you plant your business in soil that can actually sustain growth. Pressure causes panic, but purpose produces patience. If you're building just to pay rent, you'll likely compromise your values when things get tight. But when you build with a kingdom mindset, even dry seasons serve a reason. Solomon's preparation for the temple took years, gathering materials, organizing workers, refining the design, yet he wasn't behind. He was aligned. That's the mindset shift every Christian business owner needs. Let's talk practically. Before launching your next offer, ask, does this align with my God-given assignment? Don't just chase revenue, chase relevance to your mission. Purpose clarifies your why. And when your why is clear, your marketing becomes authentic, your services become impactful, and your clients become loyal. They feel your heart, not just your hustle. That's how long-term businesses are born. When purpose is your compass, you stop measuring success by likes or sales. Instead, you start measuring by obedience, transformation, and stewardship. Solomon wasn't praised just for his wealth. He was revered for his wisdom and the way he honored God with his leadership. The same can be true for you. When your business becomes an altar, everything you do becomes worship. Even your spreadsheets. Purpose-driven businesses are also more resilient. They don't collapse at the first sign of difficulty. Why? Because they were never built on vanity metrics. They were built on vision. If your Christian business was birthed in prayer and carried in faith, no market crash or competitor can cancel what God has ordained. That kind of confidence doesn't come from books or podcasts. It comes from alignment with heaven. Even your marketing strategy changes when you build with purpose. Instead of manipulating pain points, you minister to them. Instead of selling fear, you inspire faith. That doesn't mean you ignore best practices, it means you redeem them. Solomon didn't build with inferior materials just because it was cheaper. He used the best because excellence honors God. Apply that to your branding, your customer service, your onboarding experience. You also become more discerning about partnerships. Purpose helps you say no to clients, collaborations, or funding that look good but aren't good for your calling. Solomon partnered with Hiram of Tyre for the temple, not just any king. He didn't let just anyone speak into what was sacred. Likewise, your Christian business should be protected from relationships that threaten its integrity. Let me encourage you. The pressure to produce quickly is not from God, it's from the culture. And if you keep bowing to that pressure, you'll miss your promised land. But if you stay rooted in purpose, you'll realize that divine timing always beats artificial deadlines. Solomon didn't rush his masterpiece, and you don't need to either. The right thing, at the wrong time, becomes the wrong thing. So ask yourself this. Are you building something eternal or just something impressive? Because when pressure fades, and it will, only purpose will remain. The temple was more than a project. It was a prophecy in stone. Your business can be that too, a visible sign of God's invisible hand. But only if you stop reacting to pressure and start responding to purpose. The third biblical law of success is Multiply by delegation and systems. Solomon didn't build a thriving kingdom by doing everything himself. He understood the power of delegation. From laborers to governors, from artisans to administrators, Solomon selected people of skill and trust to carry out the work. A Christian business thrives when its founder stops trying to be everywhere and do everything. That's not humility, it's poor stewardship. True leadership is not about control, but multiplication. Exodus 18:21 reminds us of this principle when Jethro advised Moses to appoint capable leaders to share the burden. Solomon followed a similar structure. He created levels of responsibility, ensuring that no single person became a bottleneck. That same wisdom applies today. If you're spending your time answering emails, managing inventory, and doing customer support, you're not leading, you're surviving. And survival is not the same as success. In the modern marketplace, systems are the new servants. CRMs, automations, SOPs, they're the digital equivalent of Solomon's workforce. A godly business doesn't just pray for growth, it prepares for it. Imagine a kingdom entrepreneur who builds a coaching business but refuses to systematize onboarding. What happens? Chaos, frustration, burnout. Delegation without systems is confusion. Systems without delegation is exhaustion. You need both. This doesn't mean abdicating responsibility, it means entrusting responsibility. Solomon's delegation model still required accountability. In your Christian business, that might look like weekly team meetings, KPI dashboards, or simply clear communication channels. Delegation is spiritual. It shows you trust others and ultimately that you trust God to work through others. The Holy Spirit is not limited to your gifts alone. And don't think delegation only applies when you have a team of 10. It starts small. Outsource your bookkeeping. Hire a virtual assistant for email replies. Use tools like ClickUp or Notion to document your processes. When you make room for others to serve, you also make room for them to grow. And when your business grows people, not just profits, it starts resembling the kingdom. Solomon also established systems of supply. 1 Kings 4 describes the officials who provided provisions month by month for the palace. That's logistics, that's operations, that's strategy. Your godly business needs similar order. Maybe you're in e-commerce, then invest in reliable fulfillment systems. Maybe you run a content-based business, then schedule ahead, batch produce, or hire an editor. Systems don't stifle the spirit, they steward it. Multiplication isn't just numerical, it's generational. Delegation trains leaders. Systems preserve excellence. Solomon's wisdom created infrastructure that lasted beyond his reign. That's the goal. A Christian business isn't a one-man show. It's a legacy in motion. It lives on in the people it trains, the structures it establishes, and the values it embeds. You're not just building for today, you're building so others can carry the baton tomorrow. And yes, delegation will stretch you. It means giving up your need to be the smartest person in the room. But God can't elevate what you won't release. Many Christian entrepreneurs are tired not because of the workload, but because of the refusal to trust others. Solomon knew that every part of the system mattered. No stone was unimportant, and neither is your support team. There's also a principle of blessing here. When you delegate well, others are blessed through your obedience. The temple builders weren't just hired, they were honored. People flourish when they work in a place where they're valued, equipped, and trusted. Your godly business can become a workplace that reflects heaven, where people are treated as stewards, not slaves. And here's the final thought. The reason you're stuck might not be spiritual warfare. It might be poor systems. Ask yourself, what part of my business am I holding too tightly? Who do I need to empower? What can I automate? Solomon expanded his influence not by increasing his pace, but by expanding his capacity. And you can too, if you're willing to delegate and systematize with excellence. Now that you've seen the blueprint Solomon followed, wisdom before wealth, purpose over pressure, and multiplication through systems, what will you do with it? Will you keep building in survival mode, hoping something eventually clicks? Or will you take what God has already revealed and start building a Christian business that heaven can trust and multiply? Ask yourself, what would shift in your business if you stopped chasing income and started chasing insight? What would happen if you finally treated your business like a calling instead of a hustle? Maybe it's time to stop praying for breakthrough and start stewarding the strategy God already placed in your hands. Because the truth is, He's not just trying to grow your profit. He's trying to grow your leadership, your peace, and your impact. So let me challenge you. Which of Solomon's laws will you apply first? What is one thing you will stop doing today, and one new thing you will start doing this week? Don't let this message be another video you watch and forget. Let it be the moment everything changed, not just in your business, but in your legacy. Write in the comments, I will apply God's success laws. And watch how this powerful declaration begins to shift the course of your business and your finances from this day forward. If this message touched you, encouraged you, or opened your eyes to something deeper, consider supporting our ministry through the link in the description. Your generosity helps us continue equipping kingdom entrepreneurs like you. And don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications to keep learning how to build a godly business that makes money, honors God, and leaves an eternal impact.